Welcome back again. In this we will be talking about the Android application components. So we have different components which are present: the activities, services, content providers, and the broadcast receivers. These are the main components of an application. So the first thing is the activity. Activity is an entry point to a mobile application. It can represent a one screen on the your mobile application. It's the one screen design, and we can track the current activity, what is on the screen, how the user can interact with it. All that is comes under the activity, what the user is going to see on the screen and how the user is going to interact with it. If the user tap on some specific item, for example on a button, if the user tap on it or they click on it, then what will happen? Everything is defined and designed in that particular specific activity. It is a class which is present inside your Android application, and it also has or can have a GUI design. We are graphic design. So for example, an email application, it has a list of what you can say, that the list of emails that you have. We can also have a drawer which is showing up different. You can go into different folders in that particular specific account or the email account. How you can compile a new or reply to different people, and then you can select different emails you want to move from one folder to the other. So one application can have multiple activities. For example, here if we look at that, we have the activity 1, then we have a drawer which is showing up, and the activity 1 is visible in the background, and the drawer is coming up, drawer menu. We also have the second activity, the third activity. So in one particular application we can have multiple activities, activity independent of each other. So one activity, one screen design that you have made, and all the interaction, the user interaction that you have designed, that is the one activity, and it is independent from the other one. Okay, so it is an entry point to a mobile application. For example, what does it mean? That for example, if you are using your gallery or the photos app in your mobile, you can just say that I want to share that particular specific photo with my friend, maybe using the Facebook or the Messenger or maybe the WhatsApp or maybe the some email account that you want to use, or you want to send an email. So what will happen? It will take that particular specific photo and automatically take you into the edit mode, whether it is a messenger. It will ask you that which specific contact you want to share with, or maybe WhatsApp. Again, it will ask you to the specific contact with which you want to share that particular specific photo, or it will open up a compose email activity from your email account, maybe Yahoo, maybe Gmail, or any other, or Outlook. So it will open that particular edit activity, compose email activity, and then you can provide and attach that particular specific photo with that particular email, and then you can add the recipient's email address, and then you can press send. Okay, so any activity can be the entry point to a mobile application. So activity as a subclass, all the activities, everything that we defined here, that must be a subclass of the activity that is coming from the Android API, which they have designed that particular activity class. And then whenever you are designing your activity, then it must be the child class of that one. We also have the fragments. Fragment is a partial design of the GUI. Activity is representing the complete screen, and inside one activity we can have multiple fragments, maybe top part and low part. For example, you can see that we have here we have two activities on the mobile, but when we want to design the same application for the tablet. So for the tablet, because we have a bigger screen, we are saying that we are combining these two activities. This is the one fragment here, and this is the second fragment here. So we have both activities or the GUI designs in one particular specific activity, and these are the fragments of that one. So that is a fragments. The second component of a mobile application is services. Services are also the entry point to an application, an entry point for keeping an application running in the background. I mean, for example, you are downloading some big file from the internet. So when you click on the download, it will start a service which is connected with the internet, and then it keep on downloading in the background. And once it is finished, it will give you a notification your application or your mobile file has been downloaded completely, and then you can click on that, you can open that file, and then whatever you want to do. So these kind of activities are called the services. Perform long running operations of the or perform the work for remote processes. No user interface usually mean that normally we don't have the um, interfaces for the services. Music is running in the background, it has the GUI where you can I mean, it has the interface, user interface, because you can go to the next song or the previous song, or you want to pause that particular specific song. So normally it does not have a GUI design, but sometime, like in the give you the example of the music running in the background. So yeah, it can have the GUI design. So there are two type of services which are user aware of a service. For example, you download a big file from the internet, so it is running in the background, but you're still aware of that. In the notification part, you can see that it will show you that how much it has been downloaded and so on. So you are still aware of that. Music is running in the background, the user is still aware of that. But there are certain specific services which are running in the background but user is not aware of. For example, you are updating your system. Okay, so these kind of services which are user does not aware with something happening in the background, but most of the time the user is aware of those things. But sometime when it is called the system services, then system is managing the operating system, the Android system is managing all those services whenever it is required. For example, you say that I don't want to update systems applications when I am not connected with the Wi-Fi. So whenever that Wi-Fi is available, system will automatically start downloading those applications and update them. But of course, you have given all those settings inside the Android system. And whenever you want to implement a service, it must be a subclass of the services. And if you click on that particular specific link here, when you have your slides, it will take you to the API documentation of that service class. Again, these are some examples of the services like live wallpaper, notification listener, screensavers, and so on. The next component of the mobile application is the broadcast receiver. Broadcast receiver enables the system to deliver events, allowing apps to respond. Notification, for example, you can say that as send or receive the broadcast messages. Broadcasts are triggered by an event, can be airplane mode or on or off, device start charging, or plugged in or plugged out. The power of the device is less than 20%, less than 10%, and so on. So all those are events. These are the broadcast events, and you can the different applications in your Android system can receive those broadcast messages and they can respond if it is required. Okay, for example, your battery is less than 20%, the system will receive that particular specific, your screen manager will receive that particular specific message, and then it will what you can say that reduce the brightness of that screen so that it is using the less amount of the power, and you can use your mobile for a longer period of time. So these kind of things that we can implement based on our requirements. So again, broadcast receivers, they are also the entry point to your application, because we have a broadcast message that specific part of your application is receiving. So then it means that once it is received, it is responding to that particular broadcast. It means that that particular specific application is being in utilization, it is being started, it is being used. So it is an entry point to your application. We have two types of broadcast. One is the app broadcasts and one are the system broadcast. Okay, so no user interface but may display a status bar notification, implemented as a subclass of the broadcast receiver. Okay, the next component is the content providers. Content providers are the, you can see that these are the data manager in your mobile system, databases, contacts, photos, files, all those which is the file system which are in the permanent storage place. Okay, if any application want to access that particular specific part, specific content, specific data, maybe from database, maybe from your contacts, maybe from your photos, maybe from your videos, maybe from files, it must go through with the content provider, because the content provider is managing all the data inside your Android system. So through the end, content provider apps can query or modify the data if they are allowed to. For example, if you don't allow an application to access your contacts, then it cannot. So user must be given the must allow the application to access different parts of the application, different parts of the data, or different areas of your storage system. It is an abstraction on the data. Okay, so this is how, what you can say that how it works. For example, we have a contact database and we have a contact content provider. Okay, so application will make a request to the content provider will connect with that database, retrieve those information and send back to the application. So for system design, content provider is an empty point for the system design, and content provider is also an entry point to your application. Just like we can start an application from the activity, we can start an application from the service, we can start an application from the content provider, we can start an application from the broadcast receiver. So this is also the entry point to your application, because in response to that particular specific, for example, you are downloading a file, that is a file that your application want to access. Once it is downloaded, it will be notified to your application, it is download is complete, it is a broadcast receiver, and now the content provider is going to provide you those information. So that is again what you can say that an entry point to your application. So is an entry point to your application. Application map its data to a URI, universal resource identifiers, in the namespace, and publicize these URIs. Other apps can access the data using the URIs. So whenever you want to implement a content provider, you have to, that has to be a subclass of the content provider that is coming from the Android API. So what will be happening next week? Next week we will be talking about more Android widgets and user UI components. What is a widget box, or what are different properties which are belongs to that particular widget, and we will be talking more about that. In the next video, I will show you how we can install the Android Studio and how we can build our first mobile application, and how we can, what is the SDK manager, what is the Android virtual device manager, how we can create a virtual device within our Android Studio, and how we can play around with that. So stay tuned, see you, bye.